It's always like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So we do have like this new video games with camera. Like that's actually how this called on the box. You know, like these boxes are quite hilarious. I recently like found this, let's say, cheap device, and I was more like, mamma mia, what can we do with it? So I'm more like, let's take a close look at it. Let's pick it up because I need just to buy crap from AliExpress sometimes. I can't help myself. Oh boy. But this thing comes with a 4.3 inch TFT, and that's like the funny thing, eye care color display. Like eye care color display, okay, yeah, maybe something new than an IPS, whatever. You know, like come in multiple languages. We have up to PlayStation 1 support, but I can tell you, like, it's always like a little bit of a gamble. And yeah, you can taking pictures and video recording, but it's more like the same stuff that I've seen before back in the day. The question remains, is this thing is this thing just worth picking up? That is, of course, one of the reasons I just wanted to get these things, just to see how they would look, because I must say, it's quite interesting the way how they just present them. And let's remove all the screen protectors and all the mumbo jumbo on it. So the form factor was quite interesting. That was the first thing that really intrigued me when it comes to this device. But okay, let's put the handheld aside. Let's take a close look at it later on. So we do have like an HDMI cable. Then we have like the crappy headphones and of course a normal cable for charging. And this is a mini USB. Like I didn't really understand, like brand new system using mini USB. What? So one of the functions these things have like an HDMI out, so that's pretty damn cool. So you can use this thing like in hybrid systems. Think a little bit of like the Nintendo Switch, yeah, use like an handheld, but actually also can use it like a game system. So I'm a little spoiled with a lot of these handhelds having Gorilla Glass or all kinds of like fancy stuff, and this thing is like going back to basic. To begin with, when you're looking at it, like now we're having like the camera on this angle with the lighting, you can see like how thin and how flexible the front glass is. Yeah, the D-pad, it's not really actually a D-pad, it's like 4 separate buttons, and here you can see like there are like wiggly cheap ones, have a horrible touch to it. So we do have like this weird looking analog stick, does have like a click. Then we have like the A, B, X and Y. I must say they are like tiny, not a big fan of those, but they feel quite nice. They have like this tiny wiggle to it, but their overall design, when you're feeling it like this, it looks and it feels very nice. Like we're having over here 2 selection buttons. Then we have like select start and of course, or sorry, I mean select start. And then we're having like the escape. At the top we're going to get ourselves like the USB for you can plug in a controller. Let's try an Xbox 360. Then we have like the option to add some extra storage, the headphone, HDMI out, the USB mini, yeah that's old school, and of course the on and off switch, and we're having the shoulder buttons that are like clickish buttons. But let's turn it on and let's see what we're actually going to get. So booting up, we're going to get ourselves the play game logo. Alright, so let's see if something happens. How fast does it boot up? There we're going to get a new menu. Alright, so we have seen this before. What I have noticed with this one, I've already tried it before and it works quite fast when it comes to the menu. And yeah, there was something I need to point out that you just need to see. So what you need to see is basically like the viewing angle of this freaking display. It's absolutely horrible. So let's basically like remove most of the lighting to give you like a better idea. Like this thing is reflective as it can be, but you can see like the display is eye care. No, it's more like it's really shitty. So that's a little bit of a bummer when it comes to the display quality. But let's take a close look at the menu itself. So we do have like photo, ebook, music. So basically what you can do is listening to some music. You know, like stuff like that, watching a video, using the camera. Yeah, the camera, it's really bad quality. Let's say that it's really bad. It's kind of funny, by the way. It's like we have this button over here. You would say like you want to touch it, but there is no touchscreen. It's kind of funny and kind of bad at the same time. Recording, we have like settings over here. Here we have like display. Here we can check out the brightness setting. Oh yeah, that is really convenient. It's even in different language, but it goes quite bright. So let's keep it on the brightness setting. Here we have like the backlight can be shut down within a minute or whatsoever. Power off. We have idle and time sleep. File sorting modes, kind of weird. Like you can change number and time. Language. Yeah, I don't want to mess too much with that, but you can see why we do having like a lot of, let's say, languages spoken in Europe. It's quite interesting to see that they added that. Select tune can be turned off. That's much better. Information here, like the information about the device itself. So I don't know exactly what this 9 needs to be like version 2, but sometimes you can even see when it's originating, like when it's created, stuff like that. But like internal memory, like not a lot. Most of the time these come with 16 GB or something. Reset settings, And that format internal memory, don't do that, absolutely not do that. But then overall, like this is what you're going to do. The browser is just like I'm browsing into the internal files and like dictionary. Yeah, seriously, there's a dictionary in this thing. You know, like the weirdest stuff you can find. Here we have like the games, but it's absolutely like a freaking nightmare. Built-in games list. Yeah, like it's one big. If there's even anything in it, like it's one big mess. I reviewed a lot of these devices and I've noticed like a lot of them missing the escape button. And that's something we're just going to need simply because we need to make a quick load, quick save. In the settings, like sound output, we can just switch it on and off over here. Kind of weird. Key mapping, screen size. Let's try full screen. So a lot of these systems were missing the escape button. This one does have one, and the reason why we do have like this extra menu where we're doing quick load, quick save. When we're going all the way down, we have in settings, key mapping, screen size, joystick mode. Yeah, so we can change the joystick mode. Sometimes it's very convenient when it comes to PlayStation 1, for example. Then we have screen size, like full scale and screen, but somehow it doesn't really work with this because it's still full screen. All right, so let's boot it up. Select for credit. Let's see how the emulation in general now is. When it comes with this, it's always like a gamble with these things. But it seems to be like they managed to do it right this time when it comes to main emulation. So that's pretty damn cool. But the weird thing is when we're going to look into Neo Geo, there we do have the option to basically like play the games in 4:3 SS ratio. So that is pretty damn cool. So far I can see it works pretty damn good. Don't really like the position of the joystick, but you can see both can be used in the game. Everything seems to be working just fine, including the audio. It comes from the back, but it sounds pretty damn good. Next up, let's try an NES game, and what you also can see over here, that this thing works pretty damn cool with the aspect ratio. It's kind of weird, so this, let's say the problem when it comes to aspect ratio doesn't really work with MAME. Somehow, don't know why that is. But everything seems to be working just fine, don't have any weird stuff going on with the audio. Alright, so next up let's try a little bit of Mega Drive or Genesis. But also here we do have like some pretty good performance. The reason like nowadays we do have like some amazing like say options when it comes to emulation. But it's pretty damn cool to see that this thing actually runs it. And oh man, what do I hate this freaking annoying D-pad. Yeah, so when it comes to the aspect ratio and some PlayStation, it is not a good combination. That's a fact. Okay, so let's try to get it back into the normal aspect ratio and just to see how that looks, because full screen is going to be stretched to hell or what. Okay, so let's boot it up again. Let's see what we're going to get now. Because normally it was completely like weirdly squeezed, not like how you want to supposed to play the game. Alright. So the unfortunate thing is, so we need to choose between like this messed up situation of a freaking like annoying squeezed screen, or just going to get ourselves like a 60x9 like scratched one. So yeah, that's not great. Also the audio. Oh man. Oh, you can just hear that it hicks up. Like it's absolutely unplayable. So unfortunate after doing reviews of so many things, of, let's say like the cheap lineup. They did manage to get some of the platforms running, but like this is absolutely unforgivable. Like, it seems to be like the speed itself is not super bad, but it's more like the problem that... The positive thing is, like, nowadays when you plug in the HDMI functionality, we do have like instant screen, so that's pretty damn cool. Where we had like the older models, a lot of issues, but now we don't have any problems at all. Oh, let's give him some extra kudos for that. But let's try a little bit of the gameplay. Everything looks like absolutely hideous. Let's return to the game. Alright, where we're trying some Tekken before. Absolutely unplayable with the D-pad. Let's see how the analog stick is responding. I'm not getting my ass whooped by him. Oh boy. Like, in my opinion, Tekken is absolutely unplayable on this bloody thing. So I'm curious about one thing. So what happens if we go into the settings again, screen size, scale, go the way back. Return to the game. Yeah, absolutely. It looks like shit. You know, it's always kind of disappointing if you're seeing the device like this. Yeah, and I mean, like, when you're seeing this, it's absolutely like horrible. And you would expect so much better. And not like only like you're paying a certain amount of money for it. Like some of these things are dirty cheap, and that's something like you don't have anything to complain when it comes to that. But like this one, it was like quite expensive to the certain point that I'm thinking like you're paying a certain amount of money for it. And if you're going to save up a little bit more, or you're just going to look further, you see like way better options. And that's the thing what I'm having, and the problem nowadays with these, let's say, cheaper devices. So let's take a close look in the inside. So opening it up, it can also do being a challenge. So let's remove the screws, and I think I can pry my way into here. Oh, there we go. No, that was not the way I wanted to do this. So what I'm normally doing when opening these things up, I don't know if it's going to be the smartest move, but most of the time we do have like some space when it comes to the shoulder buttons. So now I just needed to pry it open. I'm going to slide in this prior. Be very careful. Let's go remove this one. Now we can see if we can remove the back plate. Even then, this bloody thing doesn't want to get open. It's always like a big challenge. There we go, there we go, there we go. We need to be very careful that we're not going to ruin anything. That are like a clip or something that's going to be like damaged too much that we cannot close it anymore, because these thickening things. Like, that's the thing I wanted to say, like I'm always being very careful over there. But man, these things are difficult to open. Ah, there we go. Oh, see? I messed that up. It's official. Oh, you. Oh man, we cannot even see the freaking battery, like how big it is. But what would it be? I think like 3000 milliamp or something like that. That would be like a wild guess. So yeah, and I was saying to everybody, like, you need to be super careful with these things to open it up. But I didn't like being super rough. But I accidentally like broke the wire off. Yeah. So that's something I need to fix with the soldering iron. But there was nothing damage being done with the battery. So, but the thing is, like, you can see like how thin these wires are, like absolutely like crazy thin. But when you're looking at this part, there's like one big PCB over here that you can just remove, and that's it. You know, this is the headphone jack. The ribbon cable is underneath, I think, because I'm not going to remove this simply because if you're going to remove it, it's going to be a lot of mumbo jumbo, like getting it back in. Nevertheless, here we do have like the speaker itself, and of course, not to forget the shitty camera. I don't understand why they still keep doing that. Maybe there's a market for that. But beside that, it's like everything has been clicked together. These things are like very difficult to open, already shown you. So yeah, let's put it back together. Oh boy, and let's get my soldering iron. So yeah, if you break it, you need to fix it. So okay, there's still some soldering on the wire itself. I think there was no soldering on this one, so let's remove a little bit of the outer plastic. There we go. But also, if you see like how like short these cables are, like they basically like always finding a cheap, just a way to like to make these things cheaper and cheaper. And that's the thing. I'm always like being very careful, but if you're going to open it up, it's just a freaking nightmare. Alright, so I think I need to solder in this position. And you know, I wish I was Goro with 4 hands. That would be so convenient. Oh man, I ripped the bloody thing from 2 parts. Like, how can you do something like that, Wicked? You are such a naughty boy. Just a quick test with the key tune. Yep, there we go. So, okay, the speaker works again. Great, let's put it back together. And let's talk about the final conclusion. I'm just going to be honest. I'm quite disappointed with this device, simply because we have doing so many of these reviews in the last couple of years when it comes to these, let's say, handhelds, and oh boy, it's not great. I have like seen a lot of these similar products with a lot of similar issues, and still the PlayStation 1, it's the same story, like, oh, it runs PlayStation 1, but when you're going to try it out, it's not going to be running great. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and it will be great to see you in the next video.